Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 436 for the week of January 14th, 2020. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
And Charlie. Oh, no.
And Lane. Hello, Lane. Don't pull off Toby shenanigans. Kevin was supposed to be here, but he said if he doesn't show up by 7, he's probably not coming. I haven't heard from Charlie, and Toby is going to be here, but I don't know where he is. So whatever, he'll roll in at some point, literally rolling around on the floor while we're all recording a podcast. So that's okay. He's going to miss the boring stuff that he hates, and that's the sales charts. Actually, Scott might be coming today too. He said he might be late, but yeah, in like an hour. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Show up at the same time.
Yeah.
Look, I can't do this podcast until like midnight every night. I got to get the fuck out of here. I have to go home and watch Crisis.
Yeah.
It starts.
I'm almost tempted to tell my dog you're going to the bathroom in the backyard. I'm not dealing with the walk tonight.
West Coast starts an hour from recording. East Coast has already seen the whole thing. I've shut my Twitter account off. People are like, "You got to get offline. You're going to get spoiled." And they're like, "Do not look anything up. It's amazing." And I'm like, "All right, I'm off Twitter." So hopefully I survive the next couple hours with no social media. But that's
how are we going to get our Twitter questions?
I have the link to the direct Twitter question thread.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So yeah, and I said if you post a spoiler of Crisis in here, I will block you. I will block you forever. So
we'll hunt you down like Jay and Silent Bob. And
I said, do not post spoilers. We have a lot of stuff to talk about this week, and a lot of it is sales charts because we have the end of year for not only us. And not only Diamond, we have the end of decade list for Diamond as well. Top comics and graphic novels for all of the 2010s.
But do we have December 2019?
We somehow have end of year numbers, but no December 2019. I wonder why that is. Oh, because Marvel doesn't have the top book of the month. But I'm sure we'll talk all about that next week. Before we get to all our sales chart stuff, I posted a bunch of this on Twitter last week. Some of you guys may have seen this, but for those who didn't, our breakdown by categories. This is what we sold in the store throughout 2019. Mm-hmm. Single issues were over 60% of our sales. That is new floppy comic books.
Now, how does that compare with previous years?
It is up.
Up.
We've gotten close to 60. I mean, maybe real early. When I bought the store, we were at 60, but we were at 55%.
Yeah,
that
sounds about right.
Graphic novels are probably 25%, and then we sort of split the difference on the rest. Single issues are 20% single issues are 60%, and graphic novels are just a hair over 20%.
Okay.
So graphic novels are doing well, but single issues did very well for us in 2020. And actually, the rest of the categories are pretty much the same as they sort of always are. Back issues were 6% of our sales. Toys were 5%. That's toys and statues. Yeah. Supplies were 5%. Telling you guys, if you're a store and you don't charge for your bags and boards, that's a lot of money you're losing out on.
5% for supplies and they don't charge?
A lot of stores don't. The remaining 4% are random things like some of the gaming stuff we sell here, Leanne's prints. We sell a lot of prints this year. Random merchandise, pins, posters, special order items, diamond catalogs, things like that. So, not a small amount, but...
What, diamond catalogs don't count as single issues?
No, it's a catalog.
It's the only catalog we sell.
So, very, very big year. DC only beat out Marvel by a few $1,000s in terms of sales. There were years where DC beat Marvel like nearly 2-to-1. And this isn't like DC fell. Our DC numbers are over Marvel over DC last year.
Oh, wow.
Our Marvel numbers were over Marvel last year by quite a bit.
Last year was Legacy. We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, the last 2017, 15, 16, 17 were very bad for Marvel. Yeah. 2018 was a lot better, and 2019 was fantastic. This not in this thread that I'm reading here from, but I think I posted it right at the end of the year. We were up, I believe, 12.34% in sales over 2018 in 2019, which is which is definitely a good jump in sales. So that's clearly.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back for all the hard work I did.
Well, lots of digital sales. I'm sorry, lots of online sales.
Oh, right. That's why I'm patting myself on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pat ourselves for buying too.
So, did you see my list? Did you see the list on Twitter?
I saw a little bit of your list of like the top books. I didn't really look at it.
I'll have you guys guess the diamond numbers, but I'll just go through our top 10 books. Now, 2 of these books we sold a lot on eBay. I actually took those eBay sales out because we don't count those quite the same.
Yeah.
But they still ended up in our top 10 list because of how many we sold in store. Nice. I did not count the Undiscovered Country set because while a higher dollar amount and higher unit amount, that was did you include the store exclusive or just no? The store exclusive I did not include because it's a little bit of a different. That was
and these are sell-through numbers, right?
This is our sold numbers, and this does include combining variant covers, which Comic Hub does not do as part of just the output model. But I was able to go through, and I took like the top 100 and just went through and searched, and I actually realized one book that wasn't in the top 100. So like a single cover, right?
Yeah.
One book was not in the top 100, but it still made our top 10 list because I went back and added up all the covers and it broke into the top 10. And you'll guess which one it is while I'm going through the list.
For that one?
So all the covers combined did break into our top 10, but none of the covers were in our top 100 sold covers, right?
Is that Marvel 1000?
Well, we'll take a guess as we go through it. The number 10 book that we sold single issue wise in 2019 was Batman 77, Death of Alfred, all right? Because we got a nice big reorder in. Okay. And that does not include our eBay sales, which would have put it much higher on the list. Yeah. Number 9 was Powers of X number 4. That was right when we kind of hit our sweet spot numbers, number-wise. We had cut by 2 and 3. 5 and 6 did not sell as much because people had sort of caught on. 4 was right at that sweet spot. Number 8 was Doomsday Clock number 9. That's the one with the Legion ring on the front. So I'm just going to assume it's because the Legion ring was on the cover.
Yeah.
I love me some Doomsday Clock. This placed higher than all the other issues, including 10, 11, and 12. But they're all in the top 50, right? They're all like 11 through 50 are Doomsday Clock, Batman, Final Crisis.
Final Crisis?
Or, sorry, Heroes in Crisis. Yeah. There was one other book. Like, it was Harleen, Batman Damned. Like, they were all the same books were like...
The top 50.
The top 50 were just like the same 5 titles every issue of the top 5 titles.
Wait, wasn't there 3 covers for 12? Doomsday?
Yeah. Okay. But we only had like 2 weeks worth of sales, right? So we didn't like...
it's not going to be... Because the thing is like, Doomsday Clock had...
9 was like the beginning of the year.
We were selling ones...
We still have ones. We're still selling ones.
Yeah, we're still selling ones.
And that's not saying it's like a bad thing. Like, we're almost out of our... I mean, it's our highest ordered non-store exclusive cover.
But how many years ago was that number 1 order?
2017.
Okay, just checking.
2.5.
That's for Kevin.
Number 7 was Powers of X. Number 1, we went big on both House and Powers, and they did sell around 6 times the sales of the last issue of Uncanny X-Men before the relaunch. So, I said, whatever. We'll give the number 1s a shot. And we cut pretty low down for number 2, and obviously most people did.
Yeah.
Number 6 was House of X, number 1. Again, so orders were very similar, and, I obviously would have ordered more House of X, I think, over time, had I realized. But this does include reprints and, like, the second and third prints, which we did continuously sell.
Yeah.
Our number 5 book was actually X-Men number 1. It outsold House of X number 1. Remember, there was like 30 covers to that book. Yeah. So a lot of that comes from the...
it's 30 covers, and that was something that stores were like, okay, House and Powers, this is how well people want it. This is where we're going to order it.
Yeah.
You had tons of people subscribing to both.
Yeah.
So, and if your numbers for that are 6 times already, it's X-Men. It's number 1. People are going to come by it.
I mean, we have a nice healthy stack of X-Men number 1s left over, but I'm not worried about it. And I mean, the X-Men book continues to sell well. The rest of the books are doing they're all mid-range, but X-Men continues to sell close to Batman numbers for us, which is very impressive. Number 4, Batman Last Night on Earth, number 1. I reordered that multiple times before it finally went out of stock. Snyder Capullo, man, they're big guys. It's a big book. We probably reordered about 30 to 40% what we got initially. So those reorders helped that book sell.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if I ever told this on the podcast, so I will. Oh, sorry. No, the number 2 book. The number 3 book. The number 3 book is the one I asked you to try to guess. None of the specific covers would have made our top 100 sold just by SKU, right? Just by individual barcode. However, when combined, they are our number 3 book of the year.
Oh, is that Spawn?
It is Spawn number 300. And the story that I like to tell about Spawn, I only wish Scott was here. Because Scott is the man. Whenever I tell this story, Scott is the man in the story.
Oh.
You go back 10 years. You go back 20 years. We sold 20 or 30 copies of Spawn a month, right?
A year?
20 or 30 a month. And I say month with air quotes, right?
Yeah.
Month per issue. And then it was like 16. And it was like 12. And I was like 8.
It's because people are actually dying.
And then 5. And 3.
McFarlane stopped working on it.
Oh, like forever, yeah. And I mean, this is like post Capullo and everything, right? And we're long since stopped ordering it for the shelf. And 2 copies.
Yep.
And finally, 1 copy a month.
Was that Jim?
To Scott Shea.
Oh, it was Scott? I thought it was Jim.
Nope, it was Scott.
Scott, does he still get it today?
So I turned to him the day, I don't know if he remembers this, but I'll never forget it. I turned to him the day he was our final subscriber on Spawn, and I said, Scott, do you know that you are our last subscriber on Spawn? And his reply was, I buy Spawn? He did not buy Spawn after that. So we took him off the list.
How did that happen?
You've met Scott.
This is true. I've organized his collection, yes.
So
we're Spawn in it?
I mean, there would have been up to whatever. This was like 8 years ago or something,
if there was
right?
independent in the stuff I sorted.
This is like 10 years ago, right? Yeah. So we did not stock Spawn on the shelf for years.
Then issue
right?
250 came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, 250 or 200."
Matina. So when Matina started doing those variant covers, I got like a couple orders for it. And then I got a couple for the shelf. And then a few more orders. And we're back up. We're now back up to
16 subscribers?
No, we're up to... because there's a lot of covers, right? They do the multiple covers. But the lead up to 300 was fucking crazy. We were doing like 50, 60 issues a book.
Yeah.
So our orders for 300 were humongous. And I got maybe 20 copies left. But out of what we ordered, it's crazy how many we sold. And we're down to we probably do 25 copies now of Spawn that's between variant covers and everything.
Yeah.
Not a lot off the shelf. People didn't really stick with it past 300 and 301. But still... hell, that's better than 1.
So, quick question. Did Scott Shea accidentally get re-signed up for Spawn?
No, I don't think so. So
Can we?
Spawn number 3. So the number 2, I believe I did tell the story on the podcast about Walking Dead.
Yes.
Number 192.
Yes.
The death of Rick Grimes. When I asked if this really is the death of Rick Grimes, and you tell me, I will do 25 times my normal order. And they said it was, and I did. And it was our number 2 book of the year.
Yep.
And this also does not include the eBay sales.
Really?
Yeah,
Which
we sell them every so often.
Yeah, it's cooled off.
Yeah.
But we were selling like 10 a day for a little while.
Yeah, when it first dropped, they were up. We were doing.
Yeah, it was crazy. However, much like 2018, there's only one book that has a possibility of the number 1 shot. Nothing else comes even close. First, it was The Man of Steel, and now it is The Dark Knight Detective's turn. Detective Comics 1000, of course, was their number 1 book of the year. Not even close. And a $10 comic. So not only unit-wise, but sales-wise. No. Even our Batman Damned sales for number 1 are restocked. Never,
because there was never any. There wasn't much restock.
I didn't sell that many copies. Yeah,
and they were less.
So crazy numbers on Detective Comics 1000. No, I mean I'm selling damn number 1s for like $100 a pop all day long, but I don't think I've sold that many to make up for our sales on Detective. Yeah. So nuts. Action and detective, little once in a lifetime. I mean, our numbers on Wonder Woman are very strong. Number 750. Flash a little less so, but let's see those variant covers, then we'll see. But nothing like detective.
Where did the last Walking Dead fall?
We just didn't get as many, so not in our top 10. Like normal, like I mean, we sold out. I got a reorder in, but it didn't move enough to like push into the top 100.
Wasn't that
or top 10? I mean,
that was like a double issue in multiple.
When's FOC for 750 for Wonder Woman?
It already passed. It ships like next week or 2 weeks or something. It's really soon.
Yeah, it's soon.
So, yep. A couple other little things that are. I thought were worth mentioning here. The True Believers Amazing Spider-Man #1 was in the top 30, just because of single issue, just reorders, just continued sales on that.
Is that the highest of the True Believers?
Yeah. Incredible Hulk 181 was in the top 50. That's a facsimile edition. So those are amazing selling books.
What about the New Mutants?
No, not in the top 50. It may have been lower, but it wasn't in the top 50. Hawks and Pox, Doomsday Clock, Batman, Batman Who Laughs, Batman Damned, Last Night on Earth, and Here's a Crisis are almost every spot in the top 80 books. Are those? I'm just including like variant covers, right? Because with some of these books, like Damned, Batman Who Laughs, Legends, Last Night on Earth, Doomsday Clock, the variants sell as well as the main cover. They're like 50-50 splits on those. So they take
for Damned, you had the
Jim Lee was the variant.
Damned?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's for Damned, but I'm saying not Damned. You also said there was Deceased in there.
I was gonna say Deceased.
No. Our Deceased numbers. I mean, it's probably in the top like
200.
200 for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Like again, combined. DC's probably is in the top 50 here somewhere. Yeah. I didn't combine the numbers past a while
because I know that people loved those headshot.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
headshot covers and then the horror movie homage poster covers.
Yeah, there were 3 covers for each.
Yeah.
We sold 9,152 different comic book SKUs. So that is different covers, different barcodes.
How many actual single issues did we sell?
About 800 of those covers sold, I would consider well. So about 10% are actually selling like decent numbers.
Yeah.
Obviously, 5,000 of these are one copy, special order,
second
print. Blake orders, one of our big guy that gets like every variant cover. So yeah, a lot of oddball stuff. Yeah. And this is for Charlie. He's not here, so unfortunately, we'll be able to hear it. If Bryce is listening, maybe he'll know.
Bryce isn't listening.
The very bottom comic on our sales chart was -1 copy of the Cable and Deadpool annual from 2018. We somehow returned a copy in a sale in 2019, and so we sold -1 copy of that book in the year. So there you go. Sorry, Charlie.
So do we know how many actual units of single issues we sold?
No.
Comic Hub.
What are you gonna do?
Disappointing. I want to know how many single issues. I want to go.
Well,
we sold millions of copies.
I know, but that's not for public consumption.
How many physical units we sold?
Yeah. Graphic novels. Let's talk about some graphic novels in 2019.
Graphic novel.
Top 10. A lot of usual suspects, but still some good books in here. Now, 10, 9, and 8 have a little bit of a caveat, but I don't think it would have affected sales very much. When Saga went on hiatus, we got a big stack of Image's #1 trade paperbacks at a very good discount from Image to sort of like spur people on to get them to read new books.
The series, yeah.
And we continue to offer those books at 30% off the entire year. My sales history on these books, nothing tells me that 30% off is affected the sales of these titles because these were also
what sold before.
So I don't think it would have really made that much of a difference. Number 10 is Karen Gillan and Jim McKelvey, Wicked and Divine, Volume 1. Number 8, of course, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino's Gideon Falls. And number 8, Saga Volume 1. No surprise there. All right. Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. So I don't think they really would have been too much different.
But Gideon Falls, you didn't put in that, did you?
It is.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Number 7, this was on our list the last couple of years, continues to be one of our best sellers. People laugh when I say it, but it's always true. We sell a ton of them. That's the life-changing manga of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, the manga version of the very famous, now extraordinarily famous book, and it's a Netflix show. Oh, is that Netflix? Is that where? Is the Marie Kondo show? Is that where it originally was Netflix? No.
The original is the book.
Yeah. But I mean, the show is Netflix,
show is Netflix,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Number 6 would have been much higher had it been in stock for most of the year. Dark Horse, Umbrella Academy Volume 1.
Yep.
I sold more in 1 week than I had life to date. When that book came out like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I sold more in a week than 10 years prior to that.
Jesus.
How did the hardcover one sell?
I might have sold like 1 or 2. Oh. Yeah, I didn't sell too many. But 2 and 3 also sold very well. Now, we're not like graphic, as you heard earlier, graphic novels are not like our bread and butter. These numbers are great for us. They may be very poor for a bigger or a more graphic novel heavy store. So I just want to, a little bit of a caveat there. But that said, I'm very happy with these numbers. Number 5 was Bad Weekend from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. That's the criminal OGN. And they had the free signed bookplate, which is always nice.
I said using that made a difference.
Maybe a little bit, but
a fair
again,
amount of pre-orders for
with
the book.
I just gave it to everyone that got criminal, and everyone took it, and then we sold more, then we just there's no question. Number 4, again, I don't think the sale would have really affected this too much. Because it just continues to sell, and I'm actually about to, or maybe I already did take it off the sale, because we actually we sold through our initial allotment of it, and that's Monstrous Volume 1.
Yep.
That book is a beast. Monstrous is, it is the new saga as far as I'm concerned. It is the graphic novel that just sells and sells and sells and sells. Number 3 would have been much higher if it was also in stock. It was not in stock the majority of the year. It was going for $100 at Comic-Con. And I hope that my badgering of DC constantly about this got it back into print, because it continued to sell very well for us through the rest of the year. And that is the hardcover edition of Tom King and Mitch Gerardis's Mr. Miracle. Mm-hmm. Number 2 sold extremely well because of another thing that came out around it. It's the same thing that happened with Action Comics 1000 last year, and why the Superman 80th anniversary hardcover, I believe, was like our number 1 or number 2 book last year. So that makes the Detective Comics 1000 companion book. Mm-hmm. The 80 Years of Batman hardcover, our number 2 book of 2018 or 2019. Mm-hmm. Again, that's an expensive not expensive, but it's not a $10 book. It's a like $30, $40
$40
hardcover, and it's our number 2 book of the year. And of course, can't be a comics conspiracy if Tom King's not all over this. Our number 1 sold graphic novel is the soft cover of Mr. Miracle. So
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, Mr. Miracle. Again, when the single issue was coming out, it was like Doomsday Clock, a little bit of a drop Batman, a little bit of a drop Mr. Miracle. Yep. It was like our number 3 subscribed title. And so that graphic novel just sells and sells and sells. So obviously, and even the Vision hardcover is like
still,
not too far down this list.
And that's like
it's in like our top 20.
Now.
Yeah. It still sells really well. Just missing our top 10. This is a very important book, especially kind of in this area, very relevant, and that's George Takei's They Called Us Enemy, which is kind of a biography about his life in the Japanese internment camps. Again, not only topical, but especially in this area.
Yeah.
Life of Captain Marvel was our best-selling Marvel graphic novel. It was, again, just missed the top 10, but that's really good because we don't always end up with too many Marvel books in our top sales lists. And although, Captain Marvel trades have generally slowed down now that the movie's out, it did sell very well when the movie came out. And I think this was like the 11th or 12th of the book. It just missed the top 10. It is A Friend Like Pikachu Pokemon Little Golden book. Those little golden books, as we started carrying those, we sell a lot of those. Yeah, don't fuck with little golden books, man. They are popular.
Well, the thing
very
is
popular book.
They didn't do too well on the shelf in our all ages shelf, and then you got that spinner rack.
Oh, they sell,
and it's like
night and day. Yeah,
it's night and day because they see the cover. It's a golden book. Like,
yep.
Funny enough, that the masked chick in Rise of Skywalker, her first appearance is in like.
You said
Journey
that.
to Rise of Skywalker,
like little golden book,
and I'm like, oh, I'm great. That one's gonna go for like $50-$60 now.
That's so weird.
Yeah. If she survives.
Looking at all of the comic books sold through Diamond Comics, so of course this does not include books, Amazon or other stores, but this is just stuff through Diamond to comic book stores and other places that use Diamond as a vendor. This is for all of 2019. For the market share, as far as dollar amounts, Marvel was 40.2% of all products sold through Diamond. DC Comics was 29.29%. Image was 8.04%. IDW was 3.55%. Dark Horse was 3.19%. Boom was 2.56%. And down the list we go.
Boom took that Image money.
Dynamite, Viz, Oni, and Titan cleaning up the top 10. 8.34% represents the other non-top 10 titles, and that's every other publisher.
Yep.
As far as unit shares, so this is physical amount of copies that Diamond sold. Marvel was 44.27% of units sold. DC was 30.74%. Image was 7.69%. IDW was 3.29%. Boom was 2.42%. So again, these numbers are not too far off. Dark Horse, Dynamite, Valiant, Viz, Archie breaking into the top 10 there, beating out Titan. Titan and Oni pushing them around. And then 5.30% was the remainder of non-top 10 books. So again, Marvel, again, very, very dominant year. No surprise, as it usually is.
We got to push it in the Bryce's back a little with the Marvel being 14% over, yet underselling.
Yeah. Comic books increased in sales by 4% over 2018 through Diamond Comics. That's for single-issue comic books. Graphic novel sales declined by 2% for an overall increase in print over the previous year by 2.23%. So, hey, that's not bad. Considering how many comic stores now use vendors outside of Diamond for graphic novels, only losing 2% is not too bad. Because I know a lot of stores that have abandoned Diamond almost completely for graphic novels. So that means other stores are making up for it. And we get most through Diamond, but we'll do spot reorders through the other vendors just when we can't get stuff through Diamond regularly.
Or you order it and it comes in damaged every single time.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. So lots of big stuff sold. Would you guys like to guess the top 10 comic books sold in 2019?
Like single issues?
Single issues. And I will tell you, of our top 10, five of those are also on this list. 5 of our top 10 are on this list.
So it's Detective.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Detective Comics 1000 was the number one book of 2019, and a $10 book as well. Big numbers.
Walking Dead.
No Walking Dead on here.
X-Men?
Nope. X-Men number 1 was the number 3 book. Yep.
House of X.
House of X was the number 8.
Powers.
And I'll give you Powers. Powers was number 9.
Batman.
No Batman.
No Batman. Doomsday Clock.
No Doomsday Clock. Not in the top 10. Only one other of these books is not in number 1.
Was it Black Cat?
Black Cat is on there. Black Cat was number 4. Again, remember how many variant covers that thing had? Yeah, lots of variants.
They're having a huge number.
Number 10 was a Marvel book. It's a number 1. It's an event. Wasn't all that good.
War Realms.
War Realms, number 1.
Really?
Number 10.
Those covers,
sales.
baby.
Okay.
9 was Powers. 8 was House. 7, I do not believe sold this many copies. I do not believe should be on this list. I believe Marvel lied about this. I believe they fudged these numbers somehow because I do not believe this book is on here.
Is it Immortal Hulk?
No. It is technically not a number 1, but it's a number 1. It's a one-shot book. It's a $10 comic.
Yeah, the 1000.
Marvel Comics 1000.
Oh, okay.
I do not believe that actually legitimately landed on that list. There's some... and we'll get to some funny business later when we do the decade list. Number 6, it's a Marvel book. It's an event book. It's a number 1.
What?
Head and Argerm variant.
Carnage thing?
Absolute Carnage.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 5, it's a DC book. It's, not an event book, but it's a specialty book. It's got a lot of variant covers. Batman's in it. You were talking about it earlier. It's not on my top 10 list, but it's on Diamond's.
Oh, shoot.
You like those movie poster covers?
Oh, yeah, Deceased.
Deceased number 5. 4 is Black Cat. 3 was X-Men. 2's on my list. It's not 2, but it's the number 3 book on our list.
Fuck, what was the number 3 book? I forgot.
A lot of copies. Scott Shea didn't buy one.
Oh, Spawn.
Spawn number 300 was the number 2 book of 2019 through Diamond. Detective Comics 1000 was number 1. Let's see if you can guess Diamond's top 10 graphic novel sales of 2019. I'm going to tell you this right now. Most of these are not new. A couple of them are.
Not new.
But most of them are not current. They were not published in 2019.
Oh, they were published before?
Most of them are not published in 2019. And they are all either volume 1s or one-shot books. Except for one. One volume is not a one-shot or a number 1.
It's a volume, like...
It's a later volume.
Okay.
It is the most current volume, I believe. Start at the bottom.
I was going to guess Infinity Gauntlet, but I guess not.
No, last year, though. Last year,
last
Infinity
year.
Gauntlet was way up there. No, but it fell off, Yeah, it fell off now.
Saga?
Saga Volume 1, number 2. It's a number 2 book.
Monstrous?
Monstrous is on there, number 4. Yep.
Mr. Miracle.
The Mr. Miracle trade paperback is number 5. Yep. A couple of those books that were on my list are also on here. There's one more that's on here that was on my list.
Not the 80 years thing.
Would have been a lot higher if it was in print most of the year.
Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella Academy Volume 1 is the number 3 book of 2019.
Did The Boys hit
Big
there?
sales. No. I'm sure it wasn't too far below. I only have the top 10 list. There's like the top 500 list is out, but I only have the top 10 in front of me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Boys is on there. It's probably in the top 50 somewhere. Yeah.
So which ones do we got?
Number 10, it's popular character. People buy lots of books featuring this guy. It was a nice hardcover. A little censored, but still people are okay with it.
Damned.
Batman Damned hardcover. It's the number 10 book.
Oh, hardcover. Wow.
Yeah, it's only hardcover. Yeah, it's right behind your head.
it's only hardcover still?
Yep.
Oh.
Number 9, this book came out like 35 years ago.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Close. It's still selling pretty well. The writer doesn't do comics anymore, but
Watchmen.
well, I'll give you Watchmen. Watchmen was the number 1 book of the year.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We really didn't sell that many copies of Watchmen when the show came
Alan
out.
Moore is like...
But he's got 2 books on this list.
Like, is there just
That
like
he wrote, like,
is there
35
just
years
a
ago?
fund that the money just gets dumped into for Alan Moore, and DC's just like, we legally got to do it.
Yeah, they cut him a check, or he cashes them, I guess. But this is another Alan Moore book.
Another Alan Moore book?
It's got a pretty popular character in it.
What?
Yeah.
V?
No, a little more popular than V.
Superman?
Say, I know people weren't super happy when we went to go see our stores.
Oh, Killing Joke.
Our stores movie screening of it. People kind of left a little bit like, well, that happened. Batman: The Killing Joke was the number 9 book.
Really?
Okay, number 8 is the only not one shot or a number 1 book on
the
this
last
list.
volume of Walking Dead trade.
Is that number 31?
Yeah,
that's the final volume, right?
That's 30.
Oh, is it
32?
32? Well, 31 is the one on the list.
Yeah, because 32 came
So that
out.
may-
32's...
Like right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end.
So
yeah.
31 was the one that came out
Okay,
earlier
yeah.
in the year. So Walking Dead 31 is the number 8 book. Number 7, it's a popular character. People like this guy quite a bit.
It's a Batman thing?
It may have been the hardcover version if it stayed in print, but it didn't. It came back in print later in the year. It was a pretty popular title that came out.
Mr. Miracle?
No, it's Batman.
Arkham?
Second volume's wrapping up. We just got the tease of a Catwoman thing following this up.
The Tom King?
No,
He's a Catwoman.
no, it's a one shot.
What?
Sean Murphy, baby.
Oh, White Knight.
The White Knight trade paperback.
Okay.
Yep, was number 7. Number 6, volume 1, image title. New to 2019. pretty surprising to see this on the list. This high, that is. It's a good book. I'm actually shocked it's kind of this high. I have not read it.
New number 1 to 2016?
Number 1, 2019?
Or 2019?
Yep.
What came out 2019?
Heard it described as goth Jumanji.
Oh, Die?
Yeah. I still have not read it.
I have...
Yeah. Did you read it? Did you get through it? No?
I flipped through it and I was like, nah.
Yeah, Die number 1. Mr. Miracle was 5, 4 is Monsters, 3 is Umbrella Academy, 2 was Saga, and 1 was Watchmen. There you go. Yeah. There's our top list for 2019 through Diamond Comics. Now, the big list here. This is the top 10 selling... Did they do graphic novels too? Or no, just comics. Top 10 selling comics...
Of the decade?
Of the decade through Diamond Comics. Now, I will tell you this. There is...
Some bullshit going on this list.
There is more than a few bullshit on this list.
Yeah.
If you remember back to our old sales charts... What favorite site of Lane and all sorts of other nerds fucked up these sales
Funko
charts?
Collector Pops and the Loot Crate.
Right. So I will give you the next few books down when we come to a Loot Crate book, because these Loot Crate books should not be on this list, right? I will.
What I love is towards the end of the decade, when they stopped doing them, is now when we're going to separate covers now.
Yeah, there are 2 Loot Crate books on this list. So I will also read you. Well, the 11th book is a Loot Crate book too. I will also read you the 12th and 13th book. Yeah.
So no, you need to go to 14.
No, 10. So 12 and 13. 8.
8 pushes you to 11.
No, 8. No, it's fine. I got it. I got it.
I'm like, is there 2 books or 3 books?
The in the top 10, Orphan Black and Bravest Warriors Tales Hollow Jones were the 2 Loot Crate books.
Yes.
And the Big Trouble in Little China Escape from New York crossover book was the number 11 book. So those do not count because those are Loot Crate
3
books.
So you have
that's in the top 11. So 12 and 13 are the next 2.
Okay.
There's 2 in the top 10.
Yeah.
I can't go to 11, so I go 12 and 13.
You need to add one more because there was 3 Loot Crate books.
I'm going to kill you. There's 10 books.
10 books.
Right? 10. You take away 2.
Minus 2 gives you 8.
Right. So you don't use 11 because 11's a Loot Crate. So you use 12 and 13 to replace those 2.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Simple math.
Tired.
Yeah. Simple math.
Yeah. I'm tired.
So let's start with number...
Give us the other one, too.
Let's start with
the
number...
obvious ones.
I did. I told you. It's Big Trouble in Little China Escape from New York. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to guess, or should I just do some hints?
I mean, it's Action Comics and Detective Comics.
Yeah, 2 obvious ones.
Action Comics is the number 5 book of the year, and Detective Comics is the number of the decade. And starting Detective Comics with us is the number 2 book of the year.
Wait, Detective beat Action?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it didn't beat it for us.
For us, no.
Yeah.
For us, Action was bigger, but we had a ridiculous amount of set sales on that. We did not have quite as many for the Detective, but still very good.
And then I'm guessing Doomsday Clock 1.
Not in the top. Not in the top. And there's another book on here that I think has some shenanigans. Oh, there's a couple of books on here that may have some shenanigans. Because I don't know how some of these books would be on here. Yeah, there's a couple on here that have to be Loot Crate. Rocket Raccoon, number 1.
Oh, yeah.
No, not Loot Crate. That's the Marvel box.
Is that the
was the
Marvel
Marvel
box?
box, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's not in the top 10, but there's a couple here. And Champions number 1, that must have been a Marvel box too.
No, that was
in
a
there,
fun.
too.
That was a fun. Yeah, that was a
Funko.
Marvel Funko
box.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, but those are not in the top 10. I'm just trying to see where Doomsday Clock is here, but I don't see it here. But I'm sure.
Quick question. So does this list lean more towards end of the decade or beginning of the decade?
I mean, it's all over. It's
All over.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with 13. Major event.
I was going to say DC Rebirth.
No, I didn't see it on here.
Really?
Yeah.
AVX?
No, and that was 2009.
Was it 2009?
Thing.
God, that long.
Major event.
Okay.
Marvel.
Civil War?
Number 1.
Civil War
Ryan
2.
Higgins Ryan on Twitter announced it.
Oh yeah, Civil War 2.
Civil War 2, number 1. It's a number 13 book. Number 12. Not a number 1, but an anniversary issue. Very divisive issue. It's got a popular character that a lot of people like. Trying to get the follow-up to it this year. Finally. later this year. Got postponed a few months. See if it happens.
Is it DC?
It's a DC comic. Yep. Big book, big issue, but not anniversary issue, but not a number one. A lot of people got pretty mad at this book after this issue came out.
No, Batman 50.
Batman 50.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I
was like, decisive. Following up this year, I was like, huh? Oh, okay.
We may have to go back down another Loot Crate number here because I think this must have been a box too. Star Wars Vader Down. Was that a Marvel box?
No, that was probably a Star Wars box.
I think that was GameStop.
Okay. So let's go down one more then.
Yoo-hoo! I was right, 3. Kind of.
Number one book. Marvel comic.
You know how many of those we released?
Big return.
Fantastic Four.
There it is. They were gone for most of the decade. Fantastic Four number 1. So we'll discount Vader down here. Number 9. $9.99 book, anniversary issue. Not a 1000, not a number 1.
Is that Deadpool 13?
No. Big new take on a couple old characters got put into this issue.
Marvel 1000?
No, not a 1000. Not a 1000.
It's a number 1?
No, not a number 1.
Oh, not a number 1.
It's an anniversary issue.
Anniversary.
$10
anniversary issue.
Yeah, Marvel.
Is that Death the Thor?
No. Quite a few covers.
That's not the Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man 1?
Or whatever.
800. You're halfway there.
I don't remember the numbers. I don't read.
Amazing Spider-Man 800.
The Red Goblin thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 8. Very controversial big book when it came out. Sold like crazy. Didn't think it would, but it sure did. It's got a real popular character that everyone likes.
Batman number 1?
No. It's got a real popular creator that not a lot of... I guess people still technically like, but maybe
All-Star?
they shouldn't. You're on the right track. Return to a classic universe.
Dark Knight?
Dark Knight 3. Master Race number 1.
Master Race. Okay.
Yeah. That's a big book.
I wasn't sure if it was Master Race or the other one.
Yeah. So 7 was Orphan Black. 6 was Bravest Warriors. Again, fuck those. 5 is Action Comics. 4, it's a Marvel number 1 major event. This was the closest thing Marvel has done to a crisis.
Legacy?
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars
right.
number 1. All right. Number 3, very major book. Number 1, another relaunch for Marvel, but man, this one did hit fire. And I believe this, it's possible that this got some boost because of Loot Crate or a Marvel box or something, but I legitimately think this is actually where this book belongs on the list. Because this was a major, major launch. It's a character that's always been around, but it's always around. Already had another book in the top 10. So,
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man?
This is the 2014 launch of Amazing Spider-Man. That one
was pretty big.
Huge.
That's the one after Slot?
It's still Dan Slott.
That was the Alex Ross?
That's when he comes back
that's the Alex Ross.
Secret.
Those Alex Ross covers?
The Goblin.
Yeah, the Goblin.
Yeah.
Those were the Alex Ross covers for a while.
Is that the one with the buggy?
Later in the series, yes. Number 2 is Detective, and number 1, what's the number 1 book of the 2010s? You know what it is. Come on.
Star Wars?
Yeah. Star Wars number 1. 100+ variant covers.
Sure.
That's as far as I know, it's a million seller. I don't know if I'm gonna put out official numbers on that, but as far as I know, it's a million seller. I don't think Detective.
That one probably had a Loot Crate.
Detective was not a million seller, but Star Wars, I am almost positive it was either a million or right up to it. So, Star Wars, Detective, Amazing Spider-Man, Secret Wars, Action Comics, Dark Knight, Amazing Spider-Man 800. Batman 50, Civil War 1, FF. Yeah, Harley Quinn number 1 was number 15. Walking Dead 100 was number 16. Justice League America number 1 was 19. That was the one with all the United States the state covers,
the flags,
the flags.
Batman number 1, the Rebirth number 1 was number 21. And for a book with just one cover or two covers, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Rocket Raccoon's on this list.
That was a Loot Crate.
Spider-Gwen, Black Panther, Dark Knight's Metal, All-Star Batman, the new one, Death Wolverine, Amazing Spider-Man 700, Deadpool 1, Return of Wolverine 1, Spawn 300, Princess Leia. All these look these are all legitimate books. I mean, Black Cat #1 was the number 42 book of the decade. But fuck that cover. Man, people went nuts for that book. So, yeah, ridiculous. Lots of insane sales for these
What was
books
Doomsday
this
Clock on
year.
that list?
Yeah, I was scrolling down. I didn't see it. Oh, it's because they split the covers out, remember? Because it had the separate price.
That's right, and it was at the tail end of.
So they're both just down the list because of.
But the thing is that's the problem. Is like you have those so this whole decade list is bullshit because half of the titles in.
Well,
I mean, you're already talking
far
like
from half.
3 to 4 titles in the top 20, maybe more.
No, there wouldn't be too many. Doomsday Clock is a rare one that would sell that number.
No, I know, but I'm saying like the multiple covers thing. If we took the multiple covers thing out of, he's on the floor. If we took the multiple covers thing out of most of the books, I think even Detective would drop.
Oh, yes, all of them would drop. But I mean, the Detective was probably very heavily to the main cover, but split between all of them.
Yeah.
The Doomsday Clock, the #1. They had taken out the lenticular cover out of that order because it was a higher price point.
$1 extra.
Yeah, and I really hate that they do that. So what are you going to do?
It's all rigged. Because I'd really like to know what the December 2019 numbers were.
Well,
but,
we'll know next week. I'm sure.
I believe on Twitter every time you mention that, I'm like, oh, so Marvel's throwing a tantrum again.
Yeah,
Pretty sure you know it's #1.
yeah. All right, other big stuff. Since we're kind of wrapping up 20, still kind of talking to the end of last year. Big nominations for Joker for the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
11 nominations for the 92nd Academy Awards. Best Picture. Let's see. Joaquin Phoenix for actor in a leading role. Todd Phillips for directing, cinematography, costume design, film editing, makeup and hairstyling, music, original score, sound editing, sound mixing, and the adapted screenplay.
So,
and Avengers Endgame got one nominee for visual effects.
Yeah. So, have any of the Marvel ones won for
Black Panther?
Black Panther won.
Black Panther won
for costumes.
Was it costumes?
Costumes, yes.
I thought they won 2.
Yeah, they may have won 2.
There's costumes and
we cannot forget about. I don't know what it is. We cannot forget, of course, about the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad
for music
and their win. Now they were visual effects.
Visual effects,
yeah,
okay.
or like makeup and visual effects. Yeah. So very cool to see Joker get a lot of those nods. I assume. When we're talking movies and Toby still is wandering.
He's literally laying down.
I'm assuming Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is going to clean up because Hollywood loves stuff about Hollywood. But we'll see. I mean, obviously I want Joker. I was talking about this in the Geekbox last night. A rare case where I've either seen or want to see almost every movie on the top movie list. Usually it's not the case. It's a good year for movies.
He's got some good challenge, though.
1917 is the next. I really want to see that. Yeah, and I still need to see Jojo Rabbit. What else do we got? I guess while we're talking movies, we can do a few other things here before we move back to some actual comic talk. Morbius.
Yeah, there was a trailer.
Yep.
So this movie's actually happening. I guess. I guess I'll watch this trailer.
I watched the trailer.
Oh, weird.
Hey, it had Michael Keaton in it.
Oh, weird trailer. I mean, it looks real bad, but it could be okay. It could be like Venom, right? Like Venom looked real bad and was real bad.
It didn't look that bad. I was getting like Van Helsing vibes. There's some stuff about Van Helsing. I'm like, this is awesome, and then there's stuff about Van Helsing. I'm like, yeah, this is bad.
Yeah,
it's really cheesy.
Yeah. I think there was. I mean, Morbius is a weird character. I don't know.
Echolocation.
Yeah.
I'm watching the movie and I'm watching the trailer. I'm thinking, is this a Batman movie? He does like the whole bat, like the spiral of bats, just like they've done in another. Like it's everything. I'm like, it just feels like
Bat.
Huh?
It's Man Bat.
Yeah,
we're getting the Man Bat movie.
It feels like a Batman movie more than a Morbius movie. But that's cool. It's fine. I mean, still from the best, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be real terrible, but if it's like Venom bad, then cool. Yeah.
I actually thought it looked pretty good, but not Morbius. Like, it felt like a really decent vampire movie, but like
he's the living vampire.
Yeah, but I mean, like with no connections to Morbius.
Right. Yeah. More. I mean,
hey,
they're
the
kind
facial
of
makeup makes.
Well, okay, you had that little brief second at the end.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, the story feels like it's just completely different. Just a decent.
I mean,
like,
he's a scientist, right? I mean, so there's a lot of elements from the Morbius.
Spider-Man has a lot of scientist villains.
He does. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so it almost doesn't matter what this movie is because I believe everyone's hype is for the tease of
Sinister Six.
The Sinister Six because if we are really getting Vulture, and that's like Vulture, he's apparently wearing the same like prison uniform like outfit thing. That's like what he was wearing at the end of Homecoming. So, I don't know if that's what they're going for here because right now we'd have Venom, Carnage, Morbius, and Vulture. That's not the Secret Six, or that's not the Sinister Six. Yeah. Kinda.
We haven't seen him in costume, but we have the Scorpion.
He was there.
And I mean, somebody could pick up the gauntlet again for the Shocker.
He was the one that confronted him at the end.
Shocker died.
Yes,
right?
But his gauntlet was still around.
Yeah.
So in theory,
they never call him Shocker. It's just a random dude.
No, they say.
Do they? I don't think they call him Shocker.
Makes a cheesy reference.
They make a cheesy reference to like Shocker.
And where's
Scorpion is that guy at the end that goes, so you know who Spider-Man is, and he's
right.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, right. Okay. I mean, maybe Venom and Carnage wouldn't be in it; they would just be their own thing. But there are other characters that would.
I do feel Morbius doesn't feel like Sinister Six, right?
No.
It's kind of weird that they're incorporating this.
Right. It
Spoilers for the movie. Apparently, he's going to jail.
Yeah, this could not be it at all. It could have nothing to do with it. It's just a cameo, and they just wanted to throw it in there. But yeah, I mean, cool Morbius movie. All right, whatever. I mean, I'm gonna go see. We were talking about this on our, how hyped are we for any of this stuff? And yeah,
so I did watch the Bloodshot, one of the Bloodshot trailers.
Yeah.
I saw the first one. Yeah,
the one with the repeating song. Yeah. So
I actually thought
like
it was
visual effects. Like I'm like this. Okay, this looks interesting. Like story wise, I'm like I really don't have any clue. So to me, it's like it's on the fence of. It's either going to somehow do really well and blow everyone out of the water, or it's going to be like, why don't you just release it on Netflix? Like,
I felt it looked like a really good indie sci-fi film, like one of these lower budget indie sci-fi films, but it doesn't feel like Bloodshot.
Yeah. I think that's.
I mean, kind of. The story is kind of there with them trying to put the memories in. Because that's what they have.
It's an interesting idea.
And they've done that in the comic books with the relaunching and stuff. Like they don't dive into the lives he's lived. It's always kind of there in the background. But I mean, how can you not love seeing Vin Diesel get his face blown off? Like, I mean, come on. There has to be some perk to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe when it comes on,
you're going to send me to watch
Blu-ray or something.
You'll send me to
watch it. But yeah, no real interest. But I'll tell you what I will watch. 31 Seasons of Counting, baby. Official Superman and Lois gets a series order. So they're going straight to series. So not only we're losing Arrow this year on CW, unfortunately, but we are gaining Green Arrow and the Black Canaries, as well as Superman and Lois, as well as Stargirl.
Is the Canary show official now?
What's that?
Is the Canary official?
I mean, as far as we know.
I think it's just the Canaries, though.
It's Green Arrow and the Canaries is the name of the show.
I mean, I thought it wasn't green. It was just.
So we are in no crisis spoilers, as none of us have seen the episode. That includes you, Toby. No crisis spoilers if you looked on the internet. As far as we know, the everything they've said is that the Arrow episode tonight was sort of like a backdoor pilot to it. Like they had the costume designs and kind of like with Batwoman, right? They sort of like we have the look, we have the costume.
Yeah, well, they've already kind of had her in costume.
Oh yeah. She's been around, but I think this is like the finalized versions.
Yeah.
So they're gonna probably announce it after Arrow finishes.
That's what I figured. Maybe Kevin Smith after show.
Yeah, but Superman and Lois is now 100% official, so it is going forward. It got picked up for a series, not even a pilot. So there we go, another show. Toby, before we move off movies, you got something you want to talk about? Come on! What do you got? While we're waiting for Toby to wander over here to do whatever Toby's doing, what do you got?
I saw a nice little R on a trailer.
R?
For that Birds of Prey movie with Harley Quinn.
Oh, did they
dropped it R.
Okay,
it's R.
cool.
I'm like,
yeah, that's fine.
yes!
That new trailer was really good. The one that sort of like explains maybe a little bit more of what's going on.
That was so much better.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't do
the
that
one
first.
with Bruce at the end?
Well, yeah, with the
supposed to be Bud, but
yeah. That's fine. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, I'm down with her. Toby, come on, Silent Bob, get over here.
Boys, what you want?
All right, I don't know what's wrong with Toby. We have a couple comic book related things to talk about here. So 2 Fridays ago, not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, there was a DC retailer.
The retailer. Was that right? That was right before the end of the year, right?
No. It was in January.
That was only one Friday.
But I don't remember when it was. Was it Friday? Was it Monday? Maybe it was Monday.
No, I think it was Monday.
Well, anyway, last week. So with these things, I don't know how much we're allowed to really say or not say. DC did a write-up on it, and the entire write-up went to Newsarama and then was everywhere. So I guess we could talk about whatever they said because they basically boiled everything down into this newsletter thing. Mm-hmm. Of course, my favorite part of this is Dan DiDio saying that
5G is the best thing ever.
That there is
that DC fans are going to shit themselves.
Lots of falsehoods and lies out there, and complete untruths about whatever their plans are going forward. So that's obviously my favorite part. That they're like, don't believe any of the rumor shit. We have stuff coming up. Obviously, we always have stuff coming up, but a lot of the narrative is
the rumors are so false. They're false.
Right. The rumors are incorrect. Now that doesn't mean this stuff is not happening because a couple things that were announced at this retailer
roundtable
thing. Was that the start of their new kind of timeline? They're going to kind of be doing some cleaning up, starting with Wonder Woman 750, and they are going to. The Wonder Woman, they're going to officially say that Wonder Woman was the first kind of hero, which I don't know why this is even controversial because of course she was. Superman's new, Batman's kind of, these guys haven't been around for very long.
Superman wasn't punching Nazis in the face.
No, right. I mean, he was when 1938, but he was, or in the 1940s, but he wasn't now. The JSA predate Superman. Yeah. Hell, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes predate Superman because he wasn't Superman yet, right? Obviously, Wonder Woman is the oldest of the traditional heroes. She's a fucking Amazon.
Yeah.
She's potentially thousands of years old. So this isn't I don't understand why some people are mad about DC kind of confirming this.
Are these people that are mad on the internet?
They, of course, are.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you pre-Flashpoint, post-Crisis, John Byrne's Wonder Woman run had Hippolyta as the Wonder Woman of the JSA. Okay. So they're originally Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman were honorary members. They were not real members of the team, but they were kind of honorary members in All-Star Comics. And then post-Crisis, that was impossible because they
went away.
They're born now in the 80s and 90s, not in, or they're heroes in the 80s and 90s, not in the 30s and 40s. So Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman could not have been in the JSA because it got rid of the Earth 1, Earth 2 concept. So Hippolyta had a brief stint as the original, quote unquote, original Wonder Woman in the JSA, which is like, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But now DC is going to kind of wreck on that a little bit. That no, it's been Diana this whole time, which again is 100%. That's of course she is. Yeah. Of course she was around. She could take off, she could leave, and then come back in the modern day. Like, that's fine. But yeah, I don't get the controversy behind this. But that said,
so you're saying Diana looks as hot as her mom?
Well, yeah, I mean, their mom's got a couple thousand years on her, but, they look okay for, they're holding up pretty well. Wonder Woman 750 is not the end of the updates that are coming, because Flash 750 will also have some sort of course correction to the timeline, and I'm assuming because we have the return of the JSA and the Legion and Jake Garrick's back and blah, 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 so a lot of those elements were going to start coming in post-Doomsday Clock, post, all the current, the big crisis, whatever is coming, right? This is sort of like going to be part of that cleanup. But more books are going to be returning to legacy numbering. They have not said which ones, but beyond, we have Action, Detective, now Wonder Woman and Flash. More titles will be returned to legacy numbering. They did not say which ones.
It'll probably be Batman.
I could see Batman and Superman.
Superman,
All right, I could see those two, because obviously they have a long history. I would think they'll leave Green Lantern alone, because I don't think they're going to fuck with it under Morrison. That feels like, I'm fine, but
well, it's again, it's one of those things.
We
talked about this when the New 52 came out, where everything except Action and Detective we thought was the way to go.
Yeah.
And then now that you're kind of backpedaling on that,
I don't want. Well, and they were very upfront that we're not going to get a Wonder Woman #1 in like 6 months. Yeah. Like, these numbers are this way for a very specific reason. Yeah. So I would think that there's Aquaman could, if they want to do some sort of legacy numbering on Aquaman,
like Green Lantern, Aquaman,
Batman,
they could.
A new Green Arrow book if they do that.
Yeah, Green Arrow. It
wouldn't be as high, but
like Harley Quinn going to
they could, legacy number. She's got a lot of series, a lot of books out.
So like those I can understand. Like your big long running titles, go legacy numbering, fine, right? It's fine. But again, it's like, DC is not one to marvel us with no #1 in 6 months.
Yeah, no.
So I think there's some rest. As a DC fan, you can rest easy on that.
That's my hope. Really hope
but
so.
I do foresee them in the future resetting the numbers again at some point.
They could, sure.
As long as
obviously,
as it's not Action and Detective at that point, I'll be fine with it.
But if it's legacy and it's 5 months and then new #1s, like just and throw them in a fucking pit. It's so bad. Another thing that was brought up at this meeting, too, was DC's poor graphic novel sales over the last couple of years and how they're kind of trying to course correct that. We've talked at length about the graphic novels here on the podcast through the last year or two. Some of the pros and cons.
It's like New 52, they had that streamlined design for the spine.
Yeah.
And they kept those on the hardcovers, and they were doing so well. And then it changes. Like, it's like,
well, so
and then they did it again.
This is what the conversation was about. They feel when they get too much, where there's 1 or 2 books is one thing. When it's 12, 13 volumes of Batman, it looks boring. So they want to get away from those designs. They want something that's a little more punchier, a little more comic booky, a little more interesting. For the omnibuses, they've got these pretty graphic designs where they all have a similar layout, but they all look different. But you would still look at them all in a row and go, these fit.
Yeah.
I am okay with however you do it as long as it's consistent. If you want every volume to look different, that's okay, as long as 3 volumes don't look the same, right? If you want every volume to have this sort of like very graphical kind of layout, that's cool, but you have to stick with it for the long term.
Yep.
The white, blue, and black of Rebirth is a little boring, but you know what you're looking at.
Yeah. I know I'm looking at Tom King's run on Batman.
Right.
But then I get to the black volume,
now
and I'm
it's
like, what is this?
Yeah.
And they haven't solicited
and they haven't done another.
They haven't done another.
They did
one.
the one, but none. Well, it's coming. They actually the volume 5 has been. It's in like the Amazon solicitations for like August or something like that.
Because the thing is like that the gap though from that one to the
really
next
long.
one
Yeah,
is really long. Yeah. Not to mention there's one more after that.
At least one more.
At least one more.
No, I think 2.
Yeah, and if they do the Batwoman, Catwoman stuff connected, that would be.
So, I think similar series should have the same layout, but I don't need every volume to look the same across the entire line. So, Batman should have a consistent look.
Yeah.
And then when you relaunch and you have a new run of Batman by a different creative team, that should have a different look from that. But it has to be consistent within the run. So, pray to God DC's finally got this figured out. Some of their bigger omnibuses and bigger volumes are being canceled for smaller volumes, and then the bigger volumes will come out later. They want to try to get, like the John Byrne Superman, which had been collected in soft covers years ago. They had an omnibus solicited. They canceled the omnibus because they're going to put out, like, other versions first, and then the omnibuses will probably come later. Again, that's okay. Why did you solicit the omnibus first and then cancel it? Just don't fucking solicit it. Like, according to DC, we are at the tail end of all this stuff. There should not be, but they've said this before, and then we still got stuff canceled. So I pray to God they've got this figured out this time. I've kind of given up explaining it to customers because I have a couple customers who like actually really care about this stuff, and I was really going to bat for them and myself because I'm fucking neurotic to get this stuff sorted out with DC. But DC is like, nope, we're drawing a line in the sand. We're doing it from here on out going forward. We're not going to go back. We're not going to reprint. No replacement dust jackets. Go make your own if you want them. You know, and there are people that do it. So if you want, go look. There's people that'll make third-party dust jackets.
I was going to say, why don't they do that?
DC?
Yeah.
I asked them. I said, you guys should make dust jackets for the older volumes or replacements for the newer volumes. And we can either give them to our customers or sell them to them pretty cheap.
Yeah,
if you're paying $150 for an omnibus, I think you can pay another $10 for a new dust jacket if you really want one, right?
Yeah. Or
But
like to make your Rebirth run all the same.
Yep.
I'd pay like $10 to get a new cover for each.
A lot of people would. But, you know, I mean, that's time and that's design.
So
I got work. So
2 questions. I know one of these was not specifically brought up, but that is, are we actually going to get an absolute day tripper then, or?
Fuck if I know.
And then the other question I had was, did they clarify if they're going to reprint the Sandman trades?
No. I mean, they will eventually, but no. What's out is out. They're not recalling them or anything like that. No.
Those
They're
those
really
are
bad.
bad.
Yeah, they're real bad. But again, I don't know. You know, I don't know. There's nothing they can really do, right?
Did they talk about?
It's what's
did they talk about what they're going to be consistency wise? Are they going to do trades first, hardcovers?
There is no regular standard.
So, are we still going to get like smaller volumes? Or are we going to go towards bigger volumes?
I mean, it definitely sounded like they are not into the small volumes, although they're doing like the small. They're doing the small hardcovers now for Superman, Action, Detective.
Yeah,
they solicited a small volume 12 Batman hardcover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
and I don't know if
there's no 1 through 11 hardcovers.
Correct, and I don't know if you noticed that was ordered under your account because they put that to the same series code as the Rebirth hardcovers.
Oh, fuck!
So I had to go through and change all that. So yeah, I was like, whoa, like just start with the next goddamn run. Why are you putting this out for the last 2 volumes of Tom King's run? Now, if you want to do City of Bane as like an oversized hardcover or a single volume special book, fine, go for it, right? Have the volume 12 and 13.
I mean, they did that for the Button. They did that for...
They did it for the Button. They did it for Flash Year 1, right?
Yeah.
Totally. They did it for like Wonder Woman Year 1.
They didn't do a deluxe one for the Year 1. They just
they did a standalone
hardcover.
hardcover, and then the regular soft cover will come out at its proper time. That Year 1 was out like 3 trades early.
Yeah.
They jumped that Year 1 out immediately because they wanted to get that out as a standard, as a single volume. So yeah,
Like Monster Men, they had a
separate
one.
book. Yep.
And then what was the last one?
Well, again, City of Bane could be its own thing, and it could also be 2 volumes of the ongoing trade paperback series. But again, DC's problem, they've said this for a long time, is that the sales plummet every volume of numbered volumes because the amount of people...
Do you know why?
Nobody knows why.
Well, no. I think a fair chunk of it is they're not consistent enough to bring that shit out. So people are not the investment. Like, I mean, just look at Charlie. He a deluxe size hardcover volume 1 comes out. He's like, ooh, I want to get it. But are they going to finish it?
I mean, they're talking more about like the soft cover, like the long term sales.
No, like long term sales of soft covers, I understand. Like,
and that's what they're concerned about.
That I can understand.
But that is the entire problem. My suggestion was, okay, then do 1 Teen Titans graphic novel a year. It's 1 through 12. It's 1 book.
Worked for me.
Do 2 for Batman.
If there's an annual,
do 2 for just throw annuals in there.
Whatever that chunk of stuff is, throw it out there. If it ends up being an annual and a special,
it's the same
2
price.
crossover issues with Deathstroke, fine, throw it in there.
Same
right?
price, same size. Batman gets 2 because it double ships.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman gets 2 because it double ships. But that's your annual book. You start. January has a couple, February has a couple, and you just roll them through the end of the year. And then it's like, here's volume 2020, volume 2021, volume 2022, and you just go, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that would be great, especially for graphic novel people that, like, you could spend $39.99 once a year for every Batman issue.
Yeah.
Right, a one-off. You're not tracking down multiple relaunches of series, and and you can pull out, here's Batman Hush, here's City of Bane as their own standalone volumes as well. But they can do
pull year 1 out. You can,
and they wouldn't have these numbered volumes. Here's Batman 2020 Part 1, Batman 2020 Part 2. Here's Detective Comics. Yeah. Here's Batman Catwoman. I mean, so it wouldn't like everything for Batman in one book, but all of the.
But
series
again, like
together, if they want to get rid of these small trades.
But the thing is you need to stop viewing them as like, oh, we're going to put a story arc in, right? Yeah. Like we're going to put the story in, or
it is 12. It is like 12 to 14 issues, regardless of. I mean. You would hope that the creators can find a way to have arcs end at there. Yeah. But if it's a cliffhanger ending, that's what the next book is for.
Yeah.
Right? So.
But again, you like things like, so in that instance, if it was, Tom King's Batman crossed over with Flash for 2 issues.
Yeah. Those issues are in both.
Those hardcovers don't have the Flash issues.
Right.
And that's a problem. Like, seriously?
Yeah,
put
stupid.
them in there.
Yep.
So, like, you have something like, Green Arrow's running. All right, we have Green Arrow. It's going. Boom. It's if it finishes in, but then it's also you kind of have to have commitments for creators, right? You have to have year commitments versus just these amount of issues commitments, or you have to commit to the actual series running for a designated period of time.
Well, you could start. Okay, we're gonna have Batman, Superman, you have eight books that start in January, 8 books that start in February, 8 books where the arcs start in March, and then that rolls through the 12 to 14 issues with annuals and blah, blah, blah. So you're kind of on this constant cycle, right?
Yeah.
So
editors should be keeping track of that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even if you have a delay of the trades coming out by a little bit of time, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
you want to keep them consistent. But
well, that's what I mean, right? I mean, you don't cancel any books. You just have, okay, Batman, your story arc is going to start here. You get X amount of books starting in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and then 1 year later, when that book is done, that volume comes out like the next month for those previous 12 issues. But you're at a cycle where you're getting X amount. You have Batman in January, Detective in July, Superman in February, Action in August. So you always have kind of one major one, and then like subsets and miniseries and specials kind of.
Well, in miniseries and stuff like that, that's where you get here's your 6-issue small trade.
Yeah, you still have
the small
stuff.
trades because it's like boom,
and
just get it
Black
out.
Label and all that stuff. Sure,
the
sure.
6 issues came out next month. We got the trade on the shelf. Go right.
But if they're having trouble figuring out what to do with the ongoing graphic novel series for ongoing comic series, I mean, to me, I think that's a cool idea. I mean, it takes a level of commitment, but I mean, I think it would solve the problem of people not knowing what to buy because you just have to buy the one book. It solves the problem of numbering because the number would just be the year. It solves the problem of the little dinky trade paperbacks in multiple versions because you just have the one volume.
Yeah, and
you can keep the stuff in print. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll see.
Do you think floppy sales conflict with trade sales?
I think they're totally separate. I mean, if you look at big sales and singles and big sales and floppies, they're not always the same. Black Cat graphic novel sales aren't number one, right? Absolute Carnage isn't the number one book.
I was wondering because I was thinking, why don't they just then, like for example, if you do your idea on the release of that 12th issue, have the trade out that same week?
Yeah. That
way, the people who read by trade are also current again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's basically the Image model now, right? Yeah. Is that the graphic novel comes out like like the week after or very shortly after the final issue of that volume, and then everyone's kind of on the same page.
Well,
right?
I think it's it's great if you can do it, same day. But if you can do it within a month of that coming out, you still have the buzz, right? Fine. Like House of X and Powers of 10.
They got that trade out really fast.
They got that out really quickly. They changed the price on us.
It had more stuff. It's
I know, but the thing is the hype behind it. You people are I'm going to wait for the thing. Yeah. If you get them right away, then it's like boom, right?
Well, comic stores' complaint has always been graphic novel sales cannibalize a single issue sales. I don't believe that's true, though. I think single issue sales cannibalize single issue sales because the next week everyone's done with the previous week's books. Some stuff will work, right? But we're not at the point now where books sell month after month after month. If I sold out of every single book on Wednesday, I would probably be more profitable as a store because I end up getting rid of a lot of junk that just sits around. A lot of that shit on that wall over there will never sell, right?
Yep.
And that is the way a lot of stores are looking now. I believe they're two totally different markets. You have some crossover, obviously, but I think they really don't harm each other. If the trade paperback came out the same day as the final issue of the arc, I don't think it would affect sales on either of them. If you have the first 11 issues,
you're going to get the last.
You're going to buy the 12th single.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have the previous trade, you're going to buy the next trade. They're not competing dollars. At least I don't feel they are.
Well, and I think, but the thing again, you also have to view it as what is the format that we're giving. We have the single issue format. We have the graphic novel format. Right, they're two different formats. We have digital now. Throw in the digital.
Yep.
A week or so ago, I had a woman came in and she was looking for 1602.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, we don't have the trade because Marvel, I guess, OP'd it.
Trade Marvel's 1602.
Oh, Marvel's 1602.
Cost me a sale, Brock.
No, wait,
son of a bitch.
I think it was. They didn't find it over there. I was like, all right, because I was over here.
Yeah.
And they were looking in used. I helped them with used, but we couldn't find it either.
Okay.
Because I was looking in 1602 S. And
I actually don't know if we have it over there. We should have it over there, though.
Yeah.
It's a print as far as I know.
But there wasn't there. So I went straight to the sets, and we pulled one out and sold them a set. So it's like they just wanted the story in some format, right? Yeah. So whatever format you can, people are willing to take. If it's there, they'll take it.
I think you have to. It's like you said, though. It has to be timely, though, because you also have the problem where people don't want to get like movies, TV. You don't want to wait around and get spoiled on everything that you are waiting on to read.
Well, I've said this before, and I'll always say this: a single issue buyer that says I'll wait for the trade, it's a lie.
Yeah,
they're not buying the trade paperback. They are just not buying the book. That is what that means. Yeah. That's the excuse.
I didn't buy Walking Dead single issues. I trade weighted on those ones.
You bought the trades,
but I bought the trades.
Right?
Like, I didn't transfer. I don't know if there's any series I bought single issues and then changed over to trades.
It happens.
It might have happened.
It happens
once.
to random people occasionally. But if someone says, "Oh, I'm going to trade weight that," they are not buying that book.
No, usually I think it's the opposite, where it's like myself and Charlie, where it's, oh, we read the single issues, we loved it, we bought the trade, in spite of the fact that we have the single issues, because we loved it so much.
Oh, and I've said this many times on the podcast. The vast majority of graphic novels I own are things I've already read. They are my favorite comics. That's why I own the graphic novels. Right. Charlie, the only series that he's going to buy in single issue is Doomsday Clock, because he literally cannot wait for the trade paperback. It is the one thing where he's like, I cannot wait for the trade on this. I have to read this the minute it happens.
I picked up the shipment early that week, and I messaged him saying it's here, and I was surprised he didn't barge through the door.
Yeah. But Charlie, he may like these new X-Men books, but he's going to buy the omnibus because he doesn't care that much, right?
But so he's here reading it.
But he's here reading some of it.
He's still here reading it every week. So it's kind
he's not here every week.
Not every week. But I'm saying
he reads the stuff he enjoys single issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then he decides to buy it as a trade later because he likes it. But it's not like he's buying one issue and saying I'm waiting.
No, but he probably would have bought like those trades anyway, right? For like the new X-Men stuff, like Hawks and Pox. I think he would. I think he probably would have bought that either.
The buzz is a little low, so I don't know.
On the current stuff,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't think I can make a prediction that barely to virtually nobody's going to buy those Dawn of X trades.
I don't know what they're thinking with that. Do you see what they're doing? They're releasing. It's like the old cross-gen model. Where here's like a month of all our comic books in one graphic novel.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't understand why they're doing that because it makes no sense.
No,
you have to buy all of them then.
And the books don't make sense to each other. And X-Men's already late.
Yeah, I was going to say when it hits 5 and 6, it's going to be even worse.
Right. So I don't know how that works. The books aren't single issue like standalone stories, so it's a really dumb.
But
really
then they're still
idea.
Pushing that reading order in the back of the book still.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. There's been like one case where it mattered, I think. Like at the very beginning, and it hasn't mattered since.
I think in the handful of like first handful of issues, like 1s and 2s and 3s, I think there was kind of some like, especially in the 1s, there's definitely this point
you have to
intersect, right?
Yeah. But now
it doesn't matter.
No. All right, we have some Patreon questions and then a couple things on Twitter I'm going to get to. Let's get through these Patreon questions. First one is from Verum Libertas. He says, is it too soon to be positive about the Morbius movie? The trailer is actually good. Then again, Suicide Squad proves a good trailer doesn't guarantee anything. Also, it's the year 2020. Is this the year Marvel learns that any book over 60 pages should be square-bound? My local comic shop got 2 boxes of incoming, and 100% of them were splitting at the top corner. They will never learn that lesson. Marvel does not do square-bound books. They're too expensive.
Marvel doesn't listen, period.
Every single one of those 100-page giants, 100-page issues we talked about, those $9 books on the top 10 sales charts, 100% of them are damaged. They split. That Amazing Spider-Man 800, it felt like it was printed on tissue paper, right? The cover was terrible. They cheap out every time on those big books. It's really
the funniest
sad.
was watching the speculator guys just try and get the perfect copy. Like
they don't exist.
Well, Legacy they did right.
Legacy they did
cardstock.
They did, but they did a cardstock cover
because of the
yeah.
No, but no, for the Marvel 1000 they did. They didn't do the split.
No, they did the bad one.
They did the bound one on that one.
They get more money,
which is a rare case. Rare case of them actually doing it. Mikhail says, "What writer do you think will get the Tom King-esque clearance from their publisher to make significant changes to canon? For example, Tom King was allowed to have Alfred die in his Batman run. You know what? I don't think it's. I think any writer can. They just have to ask and have a good pitch.
Yeah.
Clearly, if you walk in and say, I'm going to kill Superman, they're going to be like, well, let's talk about this. I don't know.
All right, Dan, calm down. You've already done it once.
No, but what's your pitch, right?
Let's kill the Titans again.
That's Dan Didio every meeting.
Can I just interrupt this Twitter or this Patreon answer with, despite Dan Didio's best attempts, the year of Rick may finally be at an end.
Hasn't it been 2 years?
Well, it was 56, but it's double shipping, so it's been about a year.
All right.
The year of Rick. It's an issue of Nightwing. I'm just saying. I think it's over. Toby, our long national nightmare is finally over.
He left.
Did he leave?
He left.
Yeah.
What is his problem?
I don't know. He came in. He was quiet. He didn't say anything. Fell asleep in the back. Wandered around.
What the hell?
You made an attempt. You tried to segue him in.
I have no idea what his problem is.
I mean, listeners were probably going, "Ooh, we get some Toby. We get some Toby." Nope, no Toby.
Anyway, yeah, I don't think it's Tom King specific. I mean, I think it's anyone with a good pitch.
I will interrupt this as well with, I hope everyone is going to be okay for the month of January and February, since we are going to be Tom King free of books for 2 months.
Yeah.
I hope people don't start going through withdrawals.
No Tom King published comics for a few months. It's really bad. For my wallet, it's really bad. I mean, like the comic store's wallet.
Yeah. This would be a great time for a deluxe size Mr. Miracle to come out, or that Omega Men.
It is. Omega Men is coming out.
Oh, is that coming out February?
I don't know if it's February, but it's coming out.
No, I've seen it's coming out, but I'm not
sure.
He
also asks thoughts on if common 6-issue story arcs, to be later published as trade paperbacks, are stifling what could be accomplished by writers from the big two. This was, quote-unquote, writing for the trade, I think maybe never really happened the way people thought. Story arcs just get bigger because of the modern creator writes very differently than the old creators. Yeah. They don't write single issues as much. But then you do have people like Tom King, as we're just talking about, that although has written many one-shot issues, two-shot issues, shorter little bits within his Batman run, and then City of Bane, which is like 12 parts.
Yeah.
Right? So I would think, again, kind of like your first question, any writer with a good enough pitch, they're going to publish it regardless of size. I think bullshit, like, here's a 5-issue miniseries from Marvel, it's garbage, just get it out of the way and publish it. I mean, yeah, that's writing for the trade, right? Mm-hmm. But that's probably the only real time you'll see.
But that. Again, it's also what Lane said earlier about like going to graphic novel. That's an editor's responsibility to kind of guide, guide the writer and make sure that they kind of fit within that window.
Yeah, if they have a good enough pitch for, if they have a good enough pitch for, then I think it's fine.
I would also say it's not just the writer; it's also the artist.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be Liefeld and have like 15 double-page splashes across the issue, and
it's like nothing happened.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So. Let's see. Brian says, when does the Morbius speculation start, or has it already started? Brian, the second the movie was announced like 2 years ago, that's when the speculation started.
When the trailer dropped, it bumped numbers a bit.
A little bit, but the second they announce it, that book triples in price.
Yep.
It starts way early. Enerbon asks, Steve Englehart's Detective Comics run is praised as one of the best, but equally lamented for its brevity. What are some other gone too soon runs in your opinion? Gone too soon. I mean, I feel like that's less of a problem these days, only because creators tend to kind of...
Batgirl?
Gail
Simone?
No, but she was on it for a long time.
No, but she was only on it for... It was
30 issues.
It was 30 issues?
Yeah, that's a pretty good run. I don't...
Maybe it's like all the drama and stuff started to come out like around the late teens and early 20s.
For like modern books, I mean, you get things that just get canceled, like the Morrison, Jim Lee Wildcats, right?
For me, it'd be the Wellstorm universe.
Yeah.
Ever since the merger, it's gone.
That Team 7 book really went off the ground.
It's like Silver Age stuff. You have, Neil Adams did select issues of certain things outside of Batman, but he never had a long run. Or what's his face? I'm drawing a blank on the name, so I'll come back to it. But there were, I think a lot of those. We talked about Alan Moore earlier, right? Did a couple random issues of Batman, the specials and Killing Joke, but no regular run.
Yeah.
Nothing's really jumping out at me where I'm like, that was That was way too short of a run.
Well, maybe for you now, maybe it'd be Grant Morrison on Doom Patrol because now the TV show needs some more material.
But he wrote that thing for like 5 years. He was on Doom Patrol for a long time.
But I'm just saying that now you want more.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Doom Patrol on Grant Morrison on or Neil Gaiman on Hellblazer. They only did like the one issue, right? Neil did like the one issue of Hellblazer. Did Morrison do any Doom Patrol or Hellblazer? I don't think he did. Neil Gaiman only did the one issue. That would have been great. He did more. Yeah, I don't really have an answer. Good question though.
Ennis, yeah.
Wish Ennis had a long run, really long run. Yeah, I wish Kevin was here. He may have a better answer for some of the older stuff. And final question. From
Patreon.
This is a nice one. Zach Johnson says, "What's the most annoyed you've ever been while recording the podcast?" Well, I'm pretty annoyed at Toby right now. I've been listening to some older episodes with Bryce and Omar, and there were quite a few times in there where it sounded like you wanted to strangle those two.
I remember those years.
Look, I love Omar and Bryce, especially if you listen to those old episodes. Omar's great. Bryce is great. Omar and Bryce are good together. Omar, Bryce, and alcohol was a little too much.
I think what you're also forgetting in those episodes was Omar, Bryce, alcohol,
and HeroClix.
No, and Toby on alcohol. I think it was the Toby on alcohol that normally bumped that up.
For those that don't know, we record this podcast at the store Tuesday nights. Used to be Mondays, but it's been Tuesday nights for a long time now. Tuesday is my longest day, and the podcast is on top of that. It is a busy day. So there are many times, Brock, where I'm like, I'm not going to dick around during this outro. I need to leave because I'm fucking exhausted, okay? A lot of that annoyance comes from, I would please just like to get out of here before like midnight night, okay? So a lot of the annoyance you probably hear from me is just like me being like, we've been recording for... Look, I don't need these podcasts to be 50 minutes. There's a lot of podcasts out there that are like an hour or less. I've accepted that our podcasts are just like 2 hours. They just are, as I'm looking at an hour and a half already. I don't want them to be 3 to 4.
No, I can understand like the longer podcasts in certain situations.
Yeah, like your Endgame podcast for Star Wars.
Like
those are great.
Like movies, or if we did a special again, like we tried
to read every new number one from Marvel.
Yeah, or if we actually did the Suicide Squad one where for those, like I can understand. But no, I guess for me it's most annoyed I've ever been on the podcast. I think the most annoyed I was ever on the podcast was when I was outnumbered and trying desperately to deal with a bunch of idiots that couldn't understand reading a single issue of a comic and understand anything that was going on in it. And it was probably one of the most amazing single issues, in the past decade. Minus Tom King's handful of annuals. And that was for the DC Rebirth. That was a really annoying episode to get through because it was it was.
But overall, no. Any annoyance I have of mine tends to go away once I hit stop recording. So the annoyance is limited,
and some of it's fake.
We actually. Not much of it. We actually don't have too many questions on Twitter because I said shut up, I'm shutting Twitter off except to look at this thread to answer questions for the podcast. So leave them here, and if any of you motherfuckers spoil Crisis for me, I'm banning you forever. Thanks. So fortunately, I'm assuming everyone else is watching Crisis because we didn't get too many questions this week on Twitter, which is fine.
Which means we probably got Indigator asking about binding.
No Indigator, but we got one from Norman that says, DC is promoting Flash and Wonder Woman 750th with oversized issues and multiple covers at $8 each. Batman 85 should have been the 850th issue, but nothing special. Batman 800 was just one variant cover, but it wasn't called Batman 800, I don't believe. That was during... They did that with Wonder Woman.
They
had like the special cover.
They
this
did the
at
special
800,
cover
right?
for Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Did they do one for Superman?
So why some and not the others? Well, like Norman, like I said earlier, I think in the case of the anniversary issues are also kind of sort of a soft relaunch for the book and change to the continuity. Action Comics and Detective Comics sales, I'm sure, and of course we're going to get too much of it now, unfortunately, because we have Wonder Woman, Flash, and now we have the Robin 80th anniversary coming up in the new previous catalog, which none of those are going to sell. I mean, they're going to sell well, but not...
They'll sell well individual cover-wise, but
crazy.
Not crazy. Because I didn't even really put in for Wonder Woman or my Flash orders yet, because I haven't seen most of the covers.
No, the Wonder Womans have been up for weeks. And FOC's gone and everything. Yeah.
You ordered a fair amount, so...
Yeah, I got a couple of each for the shelf, past the main cover.
And,
so not crazy.
DC's pretty good about keeping
stuff in stock, they're good about keeping it in stock, but... Yeah, I think in this case they're like this. Actually, these are now these characters' 80th or 85th anniversary issues. So we're going to be it's DC's 85th anniversary. Sorry, the characters' 80th anniversaries, DC's 85th anniversary because New Fun Comics #1 just had its 85th anniversary, which was DC's first comic that predates the superhero stuff. So that DC's just as of this recording, it was like Saturday or something. It was just past.
So it was
their 85th anniversary.
1930. Oh.
What year is this? 2020 minus 80 would be 1935.
35.
So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why. And when they hit their next anniversaries or switch over, yeah, DC will do those. So
it's money.
All right. Final question from Brendan. He says, if you had to pick your own Sinister Six solely out of the live-action Spider-Man villains that we've had over the years from any of the movies,
okay,
who would be your choices? So 6 characters.
Doc Ock,
clearly not Electro.
So let's go through the list here. We've had from the Raimi Spider-Man movies, we had Green Goblin.
Uh-huh.
Doc Ock.
Yes.
Sandman. Venom. Okay.
And the second Green Goblin.
And the second Green Goblin, yeah.
Pseudo Hobgoblin.
Yeah. From Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, we had Lizard, Electro,
yeah,
and that's
Rhino.
Rhino technically at the very end. Yeah. Okay.
And then didn't you have a Vulture?
No, that's Homecoming.
Yeah.
So from the MCU,
there was only one villain in Amazing 2?
No, Rhino was at the very end.
Okay.
Right? That was 2, right?
He's at the very end.
The very end scene.
Yeah.
Well, he's also in the beginning, but yeah.
And then from...
I think there's another villain in there, though, somewhere. But it wasn't I don't think it was one of the costume ones.
Yeah. Okay. And then from Homecoming, it was Vulture and...
you saw Scorpion,
Shocker, yeah. Miles Morales' uncle Prowler. Yeah. He's kind of he's like a hero. Prowler's kind of both.
From the Spider-Verse?
No, let's stick with live action. And then Mysterio.
Yeah, Far From Home.
And J. Jonah Jameson. And I mean, if you want to say Molten Man and Hydro Man, fine. They're not in the movies technically, but they're sort of inspired. So, that's a good question. I mean, I'd want to go as classic as you possibly can, but
I would pull Doc Ock.
Yeah,
Sam Raimi's Doc Ock,
easily one of the best of all the villains.
Vulture,
and
second. They're virtually neck and neck.
Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, and Vulture are easily
Vulture,
2 of the best villains in all of the Marvel movies, regardless of continuity. Those 2 are no brainers.
I would honestly pull
I like Sandman too
because that character was so perfect at the beginning. They were developing him,
the rest of the
and then they flush him down a drain, and he disappears for most of the movie, and comes back as this ginormously over CGI'd character, and you're like, I thought we were fighting Venom now.
But I do like Sandman quite a bit. I can't.
You can't pull any of the Amazing Spider-Man ones.
No.
I mean, Mysterio, I would say yes to Mysterio.
Yeah, Mysterio. I'll throw Mysterio in there.
So what do we got?
So it's 4. I don't like their Rhino.
No, I don't like their Green Goblin or their Venom.
I mean, I like Green Goblin, and I like Green Goblin just fine, but he's never really been a secret Sinister Six.
Mm-hmm.
All right, not this take. I don't want on the Sinister Six. Yeah.
I mean,
Can we just stay with 4?
I mean, I'll take Shocker. It's not really Shocker, but He's got the gauntlets from.
But which one?
Homecoming.
Because there's two.
Oh, the one that actually
the second one.
The one that actually has the gauntlets. Yeah.
No, because the first one didn't he have the he had the gauntlets too. He dies though.
Yeah.
So I would say it's the second one.
Well, he said anywhere you could take out.
Yeah, this is true.
It doesn't really matter though. He's got the gauntlets. Whoever has gauntlets.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have 6? Who do I want? I mean, I just throw Green Goblin in because Willem Dafoe's fine. Like, I'll take Green Goblin. That's fine. Like Venom should not be on the Sinister Six. That's not Venom's place.
We're pretty much
not
at
Carnage. I guess we forgot Venom, Carnage, and maybe Morbius if you want to count. But I would not want any of those characters.
Well, we
on
have
the
most of the originals, right?
Yeah,
The only one we're missing is
who are we missing?
Electro.
Yeah,
we're not doing Electro.
No.
Shocker wasn't on it.
No Electro. That Electro, no, does not exist. Please.
Lizard was Lizard on it?
Sometimes.
Oh, Dr. Connors is in the. Oh yeah, Liz. Oh, I'll take Lizard. Lizard was okay. I'll give you Lizard over Green Goblin.
Okay.
Yeah, Lizard was fine. He was not my favorite, but he was fine. Yeah, that's good. I'll take those. I mean, I would take Hydro Man or Sandman or
Molten Man.
Molten Man if you want to. They're not those characters, but if they did a real version of those, I'd take either of those in the Sinister Six. Green Goblin
might make more sense.
Green
then
Goblin
you only need 4.
Green Goblin should always be separate. It's kind of like the rogues.
Yeah.
Like Zoom should never, like the Reverse Flash should not be a rogue. He's like this other thing.
Yeah.
I don't want Green Goblin hanging out with the Secret Six or with the Sinister Six. Like Green Goblin should be separate. So, that's it. It's a podcast. Thank you guys.
It is a podcast. We do those things.
We do. Thank you guys all very much for listening.
We're coming up on our 9 years this year.
Yeah. Friday is 11 years of Geekbox.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I posted a Facebook memory of me from like this past Friday saying, "I think I'm going to be on a podcast soon." I'm like,
oh, I saw that. I was wondering what that was.
1,000+ episodes later, here we are.
So you would do the meme of Ryan before podcasting and then Ryan after podcasting.
Just my grave. So, all right. Thank you all very much for listening to this episode. And thank you, Toby, for whatever.
Why are you even thanking?
He left his stack of books over there too. I don't even know.
I mean, he could be out in his van out in the back.
He drove off. I saw his
Did
van.
he?
You saw his van? Okay.
I even know. But thank you very much to our high-tier Patreon backers as a Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez, who's at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast. Go check out his podcast on Apple Podcasts and where you can find other places, or other places you can find podcasts. Craig Anderson is at craigpanderson.com. Jimmy Rivera is at the Social Forum podcast. That's FOURUM. That's the socialforum.buzzsprout.com. And James Laws, thank you guys all for your continued support at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. If you got some time, you want to head over to Comic Conspiracy Podcast, geekbox.net, and Apple Podcast. You can find all our previous episodes there. Rate and review us. It always helps. If you like YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/comics conspiracy and find all our episodes there on YouTube. No video, just audio if you like listening. And the Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net is where we get in those long form questions. We read them from time to time. If you'd like to buy some comic books, if you'd like to buy some comic books from us, you can go to comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our physical storefront, which is online.
Shipping is normally Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Yep, Brock ships all the time. Powered through Comic Hub. Don't forget to go to customer.comichub.com. Sign up for an account there. We do lots of subscriptions, mail orders. Comic Hub is pre-orders. Our web store is for stuff that's already in stock. They are the same account, but they are two separate. They're handled separately.
If you pay attention on our website, we've been having some deals that go up.
We did, yep. Not every day, but I try to do a deal of the day a couple times a week. Limited, usually only 1 or 2 copies available. We'll do like between 25 and 50% off on some old books, random stuff, trying to get rid of some cool stuff I got extras of, some stuff that I'm just like, hey, this is a great book. Let's do it cheap.
Best way for people to follow that.
I put them on Twitter and Facebook.
And Facebook.
Yeah, our the Comics Conspiracy, the retail store Facebook page. Yeah. That's on there. If you'd like to follow Brock, you can go to conspiratobrock.com, see his unboxing videos and pull list over there. Wanders in the Fourth Dimension podcast. That is Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You can catch up on the current season.
Up, right?
Yep. New episodes for the new season. And LeanneHill.com. That is my wife, Leanne. That is her. You can see her artwork on there and a link to her Etsy store, which is etsy.com/shop/Leanne.
Order it through our store.
Leanne Hill Art. And yep, all her prints are available here as well through Comics Conspiracy and at the store.
She has a Baby Yoda that's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
I'm waiting for Babu Frick.
Soon. If you are on Twitter, you can follow all of us. Ryan Higgins Ryan, that is myself. Brock is Brock Sager. What are you, Lane? You're not on Twitter. You are, but you don't really.
I only read. I don't post.
Yeah. Yellow one of us, and we'll tell Lane. And the store is Comics Con Store. Follow all of us, please.
Can't wait for the Hey Brock, tell Lane.
And if you want to listen to more of me, I'm in the Geek Box every week. We talked about Super Nintendo World this week. They had a nice trailer that just went up. Super excited.
Saw that.
I know a lot of talk about the future of E3 now that Sony's 2 years in a row of no show. They're pulling out of E3 again this year. So what happens to E3? Yeah, they didn't do it last year either.
Yeah, they're going to have their own show.
Yeah, their own thing. And Microsoft has their own thing off campus too. So it's Nintendo and a whole bunch of indies, which it's fine with me. But what are you going to do? And, of course, listen to Manga Machinations. I've been on that a handful of times. Good friends over there. Darfox and Dakazu, and they always have some good guests. Thank you guys all very, very much. We'll be back next week for a new episode. And
maybe December 2019 sales charts.
Probably. And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about Crisis next week, so make sure you've watched the episode, and we'll see you next week.